ways to try to get him the ball early and often. That was something we hadn't quite seen yet out of them formationally. Took a couple of little adjustments with our defensive front and our linebackers, and then we were able to, honestly be able to bottle that up pretty well afterwards. We've got a young group of linebackers that keep growing and learning each and every week, and with that, sometimes it's helping them understand that a lot of high school football is going to come down to players, not necessarily plays. So when we saw him out there on the field, we reminded them, regardless of the new formation, this is where the ball is going to go. We made a couple of quick adjustments. Coach Ayers does a phenomenal job recognizing those kinds of things, and we were able to kind of get things bottled up. He's a talented player, and we knew we had to stop him and be successful tonight.
Second quarter, you guys spent most of it in the red zone, it seemed like.
Yes.
You got a blocked punch, you got 3 turnovers there in the second quarter, but you were settling for field goals a lot. What was the problem in the red zone, and how'd you solve it in the third quarter?
Credit to Albemarle. They are very physical up front. They are very strong up front. I mean, we are going to be continually who we are as far as those things go. We're going to continue to pound the run. We weren't going to really get away from it. We just kept reminding our guys that our offense, the way it works, is it is just a constant pounding up front, and eventually things will break, and when things break open, we're going to take advantage of it. In the second half, we were able to also take advantage of some over-aggressive play by their linebackers. We were able to come up with a really couple of very sharp play action throws, and then just with them in that bear front, it does leave a lot of space out there for our receivers to work. So our quarterback, Owen, made a great play. Our receivers really were able to come up with some big catches, and it really kind of was able to, one complementing the other back and forth in the third quarter.
You got 2 more turnovers by the defense there in the third quarter. That was 5 for the game. What was the key there? I think most of them were interceptions, but you had a fumble recovery as well.
We have a tremendous defensive unit, an incredible defensive coordinator. Those guys are so passionate and fired up, and that really reflects on what Coach Ayers brings to that energy of that group each and every week. He's got them in the meeting rooms. He's got them on film. We're at a point right now where we have helped our guys understand when they play as a unit and communicate as a unit, there's really nothing they can't accomplish. This was one of those weeks where they really, I think, started to see that. It's guys being more comfortable with their individual positions, and by doing so, being able to communicate with teammates to where it's now working together as a cohesive unit.
Last question. May have very little margin for error here down the stretch due to the competition in this region. What do you say to your team? You got Western on the schedule still.
We've got some great teams ahead of us, and we've got to continue to win. We are in the largest and, in my opinion, the most competitive Class 3 division there is. If you look at the top of that division, there aren't teams better in Class 3 across the state, and we remind them each and every week, we've got to take care of what we can control, and we're going to let everything else roll where it is. But you're 100% right on that. We have stressed to our guys, we control our destiny, but it's going to be done by us having to be successful week in and week out. There's no room for slip-ups or hiccups on the way down the stretch, and we face some really good teams closing out the season.
You covered a lot of it. The only thing I really have, Coach, you were talking about it when I stepped in, the identity of your team. It seems like, you guys came out, got down a little bit. You've had a couple rough starts or rough games earlier this season, but you guys are fighting hard, you're physical. What's that say about your unit just in general, about sticking with what you're trying to do here?
They just believe in what we're doing process-wise. They've seen it, they've seen it throughout the year last year. As I've talked with you all before, we set a school record last year for come from behind wins, and my goodness, that aged me something terrible. But with that said, now they're realizing the system itself does produce results. It is just a sustained, constant pounding, and eventually those things start to break through. It's really hard to ask young people to consistently fit up hard in the run game the way that we are able to do it, and with the running backs and offensive line we've got the ability to make that a consistent part of our game. When we do see people overcommitting to that, we've got some really dynamic players and some real great quarterback play that can take advantage of it.
Congrats, Coach.